Success Mantra is a program which features people, successful individuals from various walks of life. They are less known heroes who believe in their dreams and have conviction to live their full potential. Idols, icons, innovators who care to live every moment on their own terms.
Welcome to another episode of Success Mantra, and as always, we have a very interesting guest with us today, who actually believes in people connection. We all do, but he is definitely, gone steps ahead in that route. And he's also a veteran professional from the corporate world, and currently he engages in really carving his niche as a coach. So welcome, Sriram. Welcome to Success Mantra and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sonali. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
Fantastic. What? It's interesting that you say that you love this people connection and you believe in them. So tell us more about this and how it has really helped you in life or changed your life.
Um, Multiple ways, Sonali,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so as you started working, or I would say right from school, right? I think one of the values which was uh, drilled into me, or always encouraged, was I treat every human being, right, as someone whom can either help me or I could help him or her, right?
Sure. Mm.
Uh, and so the value of appreciating people and realizing each of them has a role to play in my life was something which had been drilled into me in my childhood, right? And I think I really started appreciating this fact when you started growing up, right? When you started playing, right? When you started working, because when you were part of a team,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
What came forth always was, and I had a very nice manager who always used to say that I don't need a genius in my team, right? I
Mm-hmm.
need people who can contribute and work together,
Beautiful.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that also kept, I started appreciating that as well, right? But saying
Right.
any work you wanted to get done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And end of the day, you really needed to connect with the person, with either who's going to do it for you or for whom you're going to do it, right?
True.
When you're leading teams, you really need to ensure, what, or you need to identify, understand, right, what triggers an individual, right?
Sure.
The classic "what's in it for me" syndrome, right? To just
Absolutely.
understand what's in it for me, and
Mm-hmm.
if you really were able to connect with that individual, right, and create, in other terms, a win-win situation,
Mm-hmm.
I found it was much more easier to achieve results, right, as compared to, maybe, you know, raising your voice or thumping the table and saying, "I'm your boss, you better do what I
Mm-hmm.
say," right?
True. True.
So I did realize in multiple interactions, and that holds true both in personal and professional life, right? Saying the more you respect an individual for what he is, the more you connect with him to appreciate and understand what is it that he or she desires, what is it that he or she aspires for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really able to create and connect that win-win situation with that individual,
Mm-hmm.
you can remove mountains, right? No
Beautiful.
task at that point of time is actually unsurmountable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so somehow that's really been what's held true for me so for all these years, and I do believe it's going to hold true for me in the months and years ahead as well.
Excellent. No, I
Yeah.
completely relate to you, especially
Mm,
as a fellow coach,
mm,
because we are all in the profession of making a difference to other people and creating, some kind of a value in their lives. So, absolutely, very well said that
yeah.
believing in people connection is the foundation of whether you want to be a
Yeah.
supervisor, a coach, a manager, or a leader, right? So interestingly, since like you come from the corporate world, before we go ahead with the series of questions that we have in line for you, I just wanted to understand that how is life different as a coach? rather than being a supervisor? Because, like even I have had the same kind of journey. So I'm curious to understand that how has the transition been and what is the difference really?
Okay, so unlike you, Sonali, my journey in the coaching world is still baby steps, right? I still have a
Mhm,
long distance to travel.
mhm.
I think on a lighter note, what's made a difference is I now have only one manager to please, right? So between a professional boss and a personal boss, I now have only one manager to please, right?
Mhm.
From a professional standpoint, I think what I see right now where I am, right, is it's giving me a lot of freedom, right? It's giving
True,
me a lot of liberty to really decide, what is it that I would want to be doing, right?
true,
It's helping me plan or, I would say almost finalize my schedule the way I would like it to be done, right?
true.
So if some fine day you really don't want to do anything and just, curl up or reading a book, I can do that without
True.
worrying about some deliverables or something.
Mm, mm,
The other time, if I'm really in an interesting conversation with some individual, right, then I really don't need to worry about, oh, I have to do something else or I have something else waiting for me or, I have
mhm.
to handle four other deliverables, right? So,
True.
so from a coach, I think now that I've got full time into it, it's the flexibility and the freedom
Right.
to do, right, what's it that I love doing, right?
Mhm.
The freedom and flexibility to set my own deadlines, right, and my own
Mhm.
targets, right, which
Right.
is after being in the corporate life for so long, it's something I
Absolutely.
really am enjoying,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
last but not the least, I think the freedom and the liberty, right, to experiment, right,
mm,
to try out new stuff, right, meeting such folks from such diverse backgrounds and interesting professions, right? I don't think that would have been something I would have had the good fortune of being exposed to had I continued in my corporate life.
mhm.
So that's where I am, and
Nice.
following the big strides which you have made. Hopefully, I should be taking baby steps and running after you in the coaching domain
Oh
soon.
my God.
So that's
You,
where I am.
you are just making it sound, yeah, like I'm a veteran. No, I personally feel that every day is a learning day for, a
Hmm.
coach. Because, you can't just say that, okay, I have cracked it and this is the way it works. Because every
That's
person,
right.
every coachee has a different requirement, has a different question. And above all, the best part that I enjoy about coaching, mentoring, and this entire profession is there is no retirement for it, right? So, our dream
That's
of
right.
working till we drop has now come true. Nobody can ever say that, okay, today is your retirement day, right? That's the best part.
That's right. That's for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
So, Sriram, like you have had this phenomenal corporate journey. You have kind of handled various teams, and now, of course, like you are doing, you're engaging in your calling as a coach. So, how has this coach, like entire success, from one step to the other been, and how have you really managed to carve it out for yourself?
Could you just repeat the last point, Sonali? How have
Yeah,
I managed to? I didn't get the
how
point.
you manage to create these successes in your life? Because, no matter how qualified
Huh.
people are today, or even in yesteryears,
Yep.
people always find it difficult that, okay, I dream of something and I make it happen, right? Because there are so many responsibilities, there are so many other things. So, A is, of course, the transition, the recent transition of from the corporate world to a coach's world, very different, right? Again, it is a
Yeah.
success. I would consider it a grand success that you have kind of stepped into this world. And B is throughout your life, I'm sure, like from all of us have had various successes. So in your case, how did you create these successes for yourself?
Okay. Um, I don't think I really had a well planned, well thought of chalk strategy to be successful, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think what has really helped me is two, three things. right? Number one, you finalize your goals of what you define success depending on the situation you are in, right? Depending on the opportunity which you have, right?
Sure.
And what I have learned very early on, and what has helped me was, if I believe that the opportunity which was available in front of me at that particular stage in either corporate life or in the work I was in, the organization I wasn't that challenging or wasn't that interesting to me as what I like to consider to be successful, right? I really took the bold steps of taking risks and doing something which is what I wanted to do,
Sure.
right? And then put in your effort, put in your 110%, be sincere around it, and success has to come, right? And I think the people connection adds a lot of value, right?
Excellent.
So few things which I personally held very close to me, right? Which is what
Mm-hmm.
I considered, if this happens, is what I would like to be successful, right? And very clearly was number one, learning, right? Every role, every project, every challenge, every assignment, right?
Mm.
Is it giving me an opportunity to learn something, right? Am I able to identify that learning opportunity, right? So that was the first part of the story. And over time, right, if you really see my profile, I have really not stuck on to one particular job or one particular assignment for more than 2 to 3 years, because
Mm-hmm.
by that time, the answer to me of am I learning,
Mm.
to my satisfaction started, dropping off. And that was the
Right.
time I actually switched either assignments in the same organization or maybe I switched companies as well, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
learning was something I held through very close, right? The second one was, you can keep learning, but especially in the corporate life, somebody is still paying your salary, which means you need to justify it, right?
True.
And that's where accountability was the next one, right? Am I
Right.
really giving it my 110%? Right? Am
Mm-hmm.
I really leveraging all the skills I have? Am I identifying who are the right folks who could help contribute to the success? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the networking or the people connection, right? Am
Right.
I really able to connect with folks to make things happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm.
accountability and ownership was the second part of the story for me.
Mm.
And as I was doing this particular piece,
Mm.
right, I really was fortunate enough to
Mm-hmm.
have had this support of multiple folks, right? Either it could be a manager, it could be the organization culture, it could be my team.
Mm.
Uh, it goes without saying on the family and friends who stood by me, right?
Right.
And like you said, making this recent transition to coaching and being different, I think it was also the fact saying some sort of awakening, or what can I do to make a difference to people, to
Mm-hmm.
society, right? So we did get into this volunteering space, the social volunteering space, almost 5 to 7 years ago,
Right.
and I felt at this stage of my life, it might make sense for me to make you know that shift to experiment on something new. Coaching was an experiment for me, right?
Right. Mm.
Can I really be independent and still, make a difference, right?
Sure.
Uh, that's really today is what is learning for me, right? That's what is the opportunity I'm
Excellent.
looking for learning in this piece,
Right.
and let's
Awesome.
see how this journey goes, right?
Beautiful.
So, so in a nutshell, for me, that's what was success all about. Okay, opportunity to learn for self, accountability to deliver what I commit to, and last but not the least, make a difference to both people as well as to the organization. So as
Beautiful.
long as these three got ticked for me, I considered myself to be successful, right? And
Beautiful.
rest of it, you have anyway the
Mm-hmm.
environmental factors. You have somebody there, the Almighty, who really showers His blessings. So
Absolutely.
it has helped
Very
till
true.
now.
Right. So, would you also say that success to you means learning, accountability, and adding value? Or is it something more?
Success clear No, success clearly to me is, if I have to give one statement, it is
Mm-hmm.
doing something which makes me happy, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and makes also enables those around me to be happy,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And if I had to get further, what makes me happy? Learning makes me happy,
Makes sense.
right? Making a difference makes me happy. So that's the way I will really
Sure.
sequence it out.
So,
Right?
like in context to, let's say, like your mentees, coaches, and also people at large, if you had to say that, okay, if you had one thing to talk about success, it means about your own happiness, right? So, if you're happy, that means you're successful.
Yes.
That's the, all
Yes. At
pervading
least that's my definition. Yes. Yes.
beautiful.
Precisely. Precisely.
Right. Okay. So, like moving on in terms of this entire scheme of things of creating success, what are some of the behaviors or values which has really kind of held on and contributed to this journey of, like adding value or being accountable, learning? What are some of the values right from the beginning which has helped you in this?
Uh, few points which comes to my mind, Sonali. Right. The
Hmm.
first one is, you know, I would say the continuous learning. Right. Having
Hmm.
an aptitude approach of continuous learning. Right. So,
Hmm.
in other terms, if I rest, I rust. Right. Can I keep building on my skills? Can I keep sharpening my saw, to borrow Stephen Covey, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that is the first part for me, right? Which means,
Right.
in other words, how do you proactively identify opportunities, which gives you the platform to learn something different, learn something new. That's the first part of it, right?
Sure.
The second part of it is, see, when you're learning, obviously you're going to try to start experimenting, right?
Right.
You're going to start venturing into territories which you had not worked on before or you had not been exposed to before. So the
Mm-hmm.
second point which comes to me is very clearly is the willingness to take risks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right? How do you take risks? How do having the confidence to ask for help, right? Are
Mm-hmm.
you having the confidence to speak up to the right folks of, hey, I do not know what has to be done here. Can you tell me? Can you help me out?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And obviously, when you're experimenting and you're taking risks, success or failure is obviously two parts of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you handle failure? Right. And
Right.
how do you learn from it? Right.
Sure.
Because I think there have been enough leaders who always say that failures is a stepping stone to success. So, how do you
Sure.
learn from each of this particular experiment or risks which you take? Right.
Right. Mm.
The third aspect, and this is what I see holds true both as an individual, but definitely as a leader, as a manager,
Mm-hmm.
is a high say-do ratio, right? How do you live up to your commitments? Which I believe that's what builds trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what facilitates accountability, right? It gives your organization, your leader, your team the confidence in you saying, hey, it's fine for Sriram to experiment something. We know
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be,
Mm.
you know, having the best interests in mind. So it's a very
Right.
high say-do ratio, right? And last but not the least, right? I think the magic ingredient comes back to the networking, right? How do
Right.
I build? How do I nurture? Right? How
Mm.
do I enhance relationships with people, right? Because end of the day,
Mm.
they are the ones who are going to be willing to lend their hand out for
Sure.
anything which needs to get done. So
Awesome.
these are the four things which comes to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
right? Continuous learning, right? High say-do ratio,
Mm.
willingness to take risks,
Mm.
and last but not the least, you know, build the network, right? Connect with people and maintain and manage that relationship.
Wow.
So for
Beautiful.
me, these four things is what has really helped me.
Awesome. I think these are tremendous values, right? If I rest, I rust. I think this is my key takeaway for the day. This is beautifully said that very often continuous learning. When you say, people still think that okay, I'm learning, it's happening. I'm still taking it easy. But when you say if you rest, you rust, it is very deep, right? Because every day is an opportunity to really kind of add on to your repertoire of knowledge, skill, attributes, which can really
Yeah,
go a long way, right? However, this willingness to take risks, right? It's a very interesting point.
yeah,
And our society, our environment, our organizations at large, if you see, are very risk averse, right? So how have you really, like whether it be in school, college, or even in your work space, how did you manage to convince your seniors that this is an essential aspect which you need to engage in?
Hmm.
I'm
I think I've
asking
been
this
very
specially
fortunate there, Sonali.
because everyone has this, especially leaders, get into this fix every single day. Can I take the risk? Is it good for me, or is it, going to impact my, again, going back to your accountability, credibility, and stuff like that?
See, I know I'll really be fooling myself if I tell you that Sonali, right from childhood, I have been always taking risks. Okay, I don't think so. Right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I am risk averse by nature. Right? You're not going to be seeing me, bungee jumping or just doing any adventure activity without thinking twice about it. So I'm really not a very risk-taking person
Mm-hmm.
from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I see, I think risks taking and identifying opportunities to learn comes hand in hand, right? Because at some point of time, if you don't challenge the status quo, you are not going to learn or grow at all. Okay?
Right. Mm.
From a organization, from a management standpoint, I think I consider myself very fortunate, right? Because some of the companies I worked with, right, whether it was the Tata Group, whether it was GE, whether it is HP or Flipkart, I think a lot of managers and leaders there actually encouraged risk, right?
Sure.
They really valued people who are ready to, stick their neck out, take a
Mm.
stretch target, or stick their neck out to do something or try something differently,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess, when since you also are targeting, you're saying for the folks who are looking at this video, right?
Mm.
It doesn't come without, that is always a downside, right? You can
Mm.
always consider the downside could be is what happens to my performance, what happens to my promotion, will I earn enough money, will I grow?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that will hold true. But see, one point which my father had said quite some time ago, right? That he said that when I graduated from my engineering college, right?
Mm-hmm.
He really said that, he made it clear to me saying, hey, I was one of the fortunate few at that point of time who really has an engineering degree under my belt, right?
Sure.
So while there is always a small percentage of folks who are more qualified than me or, have much better exposure than me,
Mm-hmm.
there's a significant population which does not even have this privilege which I have, right? And which
Right.
means that the degree which I have, and in case I have actually learned, I don't think it's just learning, right? Say if I have really learned what I had studied, he said, then you really not have the doubt at point of time that, will you earn enough to feed yourself and your family, right? Everything else becomes desires. But
Mm-hmm.
the basic requirements is something you should have confidence that your capability, the skills you have to the table till now, you have the confidence that you will be able to make a difference and do something about it, right? And that helped me very much in the years ahead, right? Because when I actually moved for doing different roles or uh, taking a responsibility in a company which might not have been so established, you always had that confidence saying, hey, if this does not work out, there is something else which I can always do,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing holds true even today, right? If coaching does not work
Absolutely.
out,
Right.
yes, there is always some job in the corporate world which I could always do, right? So,
Absolutely.
so what happens is that confidence, right, converts this fear
Mm-hmm.
into identify opportunities, right? So conversion of a fear of failure into opportunity for improvement made all the difference, right?
Sure.
Many of the leaders I worked with and the culture in these companies was very clear, saying we are fine if you fail, right? We are fine if the outcome is not what is the desired outcome. But did you learn from it, right?
Right.
What were your learnings from it so that, you know, even if you fail again, you may not fail for the same magnitude, right?
True.
So
True.
I think I was very fortunate to
Mm-hmm.
have some such good leaders and mentors.
Sure.
And maybe I was at the right time at the right place, so I could still take these risks or different roles, and still be
Awesome.
where am I here today talking to you.
Excellent.
So
Wonderful. So like
that's how it's been.
yeah. So it's also in your kind of communication that you engage with your leaders, your supervisors, and how you convince them with the risk appetite that they need to have in terms of
Yeah.
creating or innovating for future. So very well said. Sriram, the other thing is you said magic of nurturing relationships, right? So, what is this magic
Yes. Yes.
ingredient, and what do you think really works in terms of nurturing relationships?
Okay. I don't know whether I have the magic ingredient, but what's worked with me very clearly were two things, Sonali, right?
Hmm.
And it comes back to a very high say-do ratio, right?
Hmm.
Live up to your commitments, right? And make no excuses, right? So if something is call a spade if it has to be called, right? So that is the
Sure.
first part of it.
Hmm.
The second part is, I had at least I attempt to approach every conversation with an individual without a political agenda, right? Genuinely, if you are there for an individual saying, "Hey, I'm here to help you out. I'm here to
Sure.
listen to you," right?
Right.
Can you let me know, is there something I can do to contribute to your success, right?
Sure.
And this for me has really, uh, I think it's worked wonders. I don't
Hmm.
think it is something which has been I have invented, but I think I discovered it along the way. But
Hmm.
that's really helped out. Saying, I think no individual has a malintent or is bad at heart. Right?
Right.
It's as
Hmm.
long as we're able to get that opportunity to help him or her out, right?
Hmm.
In whatever limited fashion, that builds the trust and that enhances growth.
True.
So, and in most cases, unless unavoidable, it's not like quid pro quo. No, don't go saying, "I'm doing this for you. What are you going to do for me?" As
Hmm.
long as you keep that a bit out of the way,
True.
I think it works a lot. You know?
Very well said. Yeah, and that's
So
something
there's a
that
very
I've kind of observed as well. Yeah, you were about to say something. Sorry.
yeah. No, I'm just telling. So, and honestly speaking, you have a pet hold. You have a pet dogs. I have dogs
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
You just, for me, if nothing else, they show that ingredient, right? Because
Totally.
they always come to you saying, "Hey, can I make you happy?" You know, they don't come to you saying, "Please, I am feeling sad. You make me happy." At any point of time, it's that positivity which comes forward, right?
True, true,
So
true, true. No, absolutely. Very well said. I think, I was about to talk about the pets because, like the very fact that you said that you always live up to that value add for others around you is something that even we have experienced, right? So, with our pets, when they were not doing well, etc., how you step forward. And, it was as simple as sharing something that has worked for you, right? And it's as simple as knowledge sharing which can support others. You have gone through the cycle and you're sharing and you're stepping forward. That itself is like a big thing, so I think that really, and like you said that the way the dogs step in and want to convey the feeling that I really like you today, I want to make you happy. Even people, if they step forward like that, then we would have a great place all
yeah,
over. True. Awesome. So, excellent. So, Shriram, if you had to talk about the best achievements in your life, what would they be?
Okay. Uh, Best achievements of my life.
when you look
No,
back?
this has been a moving target, right? Yeah, this has been a moving target, right? So at each stage where I was, I'm sure my goals or my definition of success or my definition of achievement were relevant to that particular sphere, right? So when it was studies, it would have been the academic achievements, right? When it was on work, are you really working with some of the dream companies you
Right.
wanted to work with, right? And
True.
right, so those achievements have shifted, right? So and same way, when you're working, are you working on in areas which are upcoming, right? Are there areas where it's almost you're treading a path not many others have treaded at that point of time, right?
Right.
You learn, you experiment, you're able to make influence, and I've been successful and lucky to get that done also, right? But if you ask me, my most important achievement today, if the way I would look at it, is I feel I'm truly blessed. I'm truly privileged that I'm surrounded by a set of family and friends. Right? These are folks who are always going to be there to lend me a helping hand. Right? Whether I ask for help or no, I know there is a set of folks who are always there for me. Right? And I feel, end of the day, that's what makes all the difference for me. Right? So if you ask me that achievement, I think that's a crowning achievement. Over the years, as you were working, there was always something which you felt was the best thing to happen, right? So whether it was, you know, driving Six Sigma in G when it was just started in India, whether it was setting up the analytics practice when analytics was just getting set up in India, whether it was in the IoT space when IoT and the telecom itself was still getting redefined in India, right?
Wow.
Or whether it was in the e-commerce space when Flipkart was growing, right? So I think I've been lucky to be in these areas. So obviously at that point of time, the achievement was I am in that particular phase of
True.
both industry, if of personal leadership, but the family and friends trumps it all today. So
Fantastic. So, like you
goes without
mentioned,
saying.
true. You mentioned a very significant point that being at the right place at the right time. So, for those
Yeah.
of like those people, let's say who are not in the Valley in US or who are not in Bangalore,
Mhm.
the Silicon Valley of IT in India, would you say that they are missing out or they're limited in opportunities if they are where they are in their hometowns, and how can they leverage life for themselves?
Okay. Okay. I have to go out on a limb here when I'm going to give you some points here, right?
Sure.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
but I think, see, from that standpoint, COVID-19 as a pandemic has been a blessing in disguise. Okay.
Sure.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think my answer would have been different had you asked me a year ago and what it is today,
Absolutely
right? I think
true.
today, and if you at least talk of India, right, because there are parts of the world where telecom revolution is still not reached, right? But I think in India, telecom infrastructure is tremendous, number
Right.
one, right? And number two, a lot of information is available at the click of a button, right?
Right. Mm.
This was not something which was available maybe even 5 or 7 years ago, right?
True.
So I think the first differentiator for any person from whichever part of the country he or she is, right, is to a leverage the information which is available to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Start learning, and I think there's enough courses available to enhance your skill sets, right? So you really don't need to be in a metro city today to get the quality of educations which you need,
Absolutely.
right? Because e-learning is a
Is
close
required.
substitute, may not be 100% substitute, but a very close substitute for that,
Right.
right? So which means
Mm-hmm.
you you have the opportunity to get exposed to the right stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Number one.
Right.
Let's take number two is organizations, right? I think any concerns which organizations had until a year ago of offices to be only in metros and specific people come to office to work more or less has died. Okay?
Mm.
Today, I cannot think of a single organization which is not encouraging,
Work
work
from
from
home.
home or work from anywhere, right?
True.
So which means location again has, as a bottleneck has got. So the third thing is, your background, your profile, where are you from, right?
Sure.
Again, today I feel, I don't feel, at least what I've observed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, organizations are really not hiring you for the educational background you bring to the table, right? They're not hiring you just because you're a graduate from, let's say, an IIM or an IIT. Right? They're actually looking at folks who can make a difference. Right? And the classic three sets, right, which I think I've been hearing right for the time I was getting hired, and obviously my college they were teaching us, and it holds true even today, right? There are
Right.
fire in the belly, twinkle in the eye, and spring in your step, right? I think as long as you're able to demonstrate this,
True.
right, I
Mm.
really don't see a reason why you cannot work in the area you want to work with, right?
Mm. Mm.
Now, obviously, uh, you know, domain or technical skills matter. If you don't
Mm.
have it, you need to be able to give them the confidence that you can learn it at a very short
Right.
span of time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
But I don't see today opportunities in small towns are any different compared to opportunities in a metro. Right?
Right.
And I think a
Right.
lot of startups, a lot of new ideas. Right? See, rural India anyway is the growth sector. Right? There's not a single industry company which is not focusing on rural India.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
so
Wow.
today I don't think so, Sonali.
Mm.
Staying in being in a tier three city, for example, is a distinct disadvantage.
Wonderful. So I
Maybe they
guess.
have.
Mm.
If I look at it with Bangalore, the advantage maybe is we are exposed to at least 2 to 3 hours of traffic jams a day. They're going to have those 3 hours of extra to work.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. I guess, the world has really
Yeah,
flattened in the true sense of it with,
precisely.
learning courses available at your fingertips, with mobile, smartphones, in hands of almost everybody today. And with that, like things are opening up. And like you said, that even corporates are looking at dedicated people who can make a difference rather than the credentials they can put up and hike their prices. So I think very well
Precisely.
said. Fantastic. So Sriram, who has been your role model, who has stood the test of times and really kind of you know helped you look up and forge ahead?
I have a very cliched answer to it. Okay,
Okay.
and it's very difficult for me to identify one role model.
True.
I think I have multiple role models, right? And
Right.
more than role, see for me, what has helped me, okay, is almost every individual I interact with, right? I see it as an opportunity for me to learn something,
Right.
right? There is always something which every individual has to offer, provided I have my eyes open to look for it, right?
Absolutely.
So if I really had my eyes open and I was able to learn it from that individual, right? For example, I
Hmm.
would really call that individual to be a role model in that particular context.
True.
Right?
True.
Now, maybe when the context changes, the individual might have will cease to exist or will be at the background.
Absolutely.
Right?
True.
That's a possibility. That's a risk which I see. Right? What has definitely stood the test of time, right? And I would put a major chunk of it for to family, right?
True.
Just because I believe I am very clear. I know that my belief system, my values,
Hmm.
very clearly has been influenced a lot by that, right?
True.
So
Mm.
whatever values or beliefs I have, whether good or bad, whether misdirected or accurate,
Hmm.
they have stood the test of time, right? And I guess
True.
so. From a lasting influence standpoint, it would be them, right?
Right.
Otherwise, for example, you also are a role model, right? You have written a couple of books, right? You are creating this. Like I said, I want to make a difference to society, but you have already started this series of, videos interview sessions which people can observe and learn, which means you have taken one step beyond what is a thought for me to an action which you're already doing. Right? So if I learn that from you, right, Sonali, you are also a role model in that particular aspect for me. Right?
Wow. Okay.
So
So
that's also how my continuous learning comes.
right. I think very well said that, like every person around us has something to really kind of teach us. And if we are
Yeah.
insightful enough and we keep our eyes open, then definitely we can take that learning from that person. Very well said. Fantastic. So, moving forward, on a day-to-day basis, like we are all so busy, and at the end of the day, some point in time, you start feeling, okay, today I missed out so many things. So, how do you ensure? What's your kind of regimentation in terms of really chalking out things and making them happen and creating success every single day in some which way?
Okay. Again, wrong time you caught me on that particular question, right?
Okay.
Because since I quit the corporate life 6 months ago, and I started at least in this journey, which I like to tell everybody, I'm getting into coaching,
Right.
right?
Mm,
I've been spending a major time of the day absolutely doing nothing, right?
mm.
Watching a movie a day, listening to the music I want, which I couldn't listen otherwise,
Right.
reading the books I want,
Sure.
doing as I please, right?
Mm,
So,
mm.
so these 6 months have been different, right?
But you know
But
what?
if I
Apparently,
look at it,
sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
huh, good, good,
Yeah, so I just wanted to share
right?
that, like watching a movie, listening to music, and reading a book is the highest form of success because not everybody gets to engage in those things. Everyone's running every day
Oh
for
yeah,
what they don't know. It's amazing.
that's for sure, right?
Mm, mm,
And but on a serious note, right? I think
mm.
if I considered when I looked myself from a corporate life standpoint, right, where
Sure.
we all were running 12 to 14-hour work days, right,
Oh,
and which is
yeah.
unfortunate that I think at least
Mm,
in India, most of us do not know to put our foot off the pedal, right? We
absolutely.
Mhm. I
Mm,
think at that point of time, it typically used to be some deliverable, right,
mm,
or some
mm.
project which had to be done, right,
Right. Mm,
or either something to a team, right, or to a
mm,
team member. So
mhm.
at that point of time, it used to be having making a difference from that standpoint of living up
Right.
to my commitments on that particular day, right?
Mhm.
Meet the deadlines or no surprises in case of an issue, right? And helping an individual out, right?
Right.
Especially from a work standpoint.
True.
So if you really ask me, for me, success at the end of the day was had I been able to achieve something of that, right?
True.
Maybe success on a weekly basis used to be saying, hey, what have I learned, right?
Mm,
Have I
mm.
been able to experiment something differently, and what was an outcome of that experiment, right?
Right.
It
Mm,
could have been, did I do something differently? So that was
mhm.
my learning standpoint, right? So for me,
True.
success during that time was very clearly, I would say, revolving majorly around your profession, your work, etc. Right?
Right.
I think of late, given that you have multiple things to do, I think for me, what I try to measure my success, or at least I say today a day has been successful, is if I really was able to speak to somebody or connect with someone,
Mhm.
right? Uh, and or just talk to somebody, right?
Mm.
It could be uh, responding to a query or a request which has come from somebody else, right?
Right.
Or proactively identifying some opportunity to do something, right? Either to an
Sure.
individual or to some social causes which I support, right?
Right.
Saying we're
Right.
able to do something in that aspect, right?
True. True.
Success also is right today. While I can always say I'm at like you said this level of nirvana of reading
Yeah.
books, watching movies,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Right? It's
Mm.
also not stepping on people's toes. Right?
True.
When you speak to somebody or you connect to somebody in an organization, he or she is already going through his own stress.
Right.
Right? He or
Mm.
she already has something at the back of his or her mind. Right? Am I
Right.
really able to work with him on that standpoint, right? Say, hey, what's your opportunity? What's your problem you're working with? What is it that you're tackling? And if I can then just put in that one question saying, is there some way I can help you?
Sure.
And if the person says yes, can you help me with this, am I able to move a needle on that aspect, right?
Absolutely.
If that happens, it's a day well spent, right?
Excellent. True.
So today, if you ask me, success is more of I'm able to make a difference to somebody, right?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Great. So, like, and when you're going through this journey, whether today or in the past, when you encountered failure, how did you deal with them? And what was your modus operandi in terms of really tackling that?
Multiple modus operandis is what I will say.
Right. Right.
Right, and I'll be fooling myself, right? I think there have been some situations where things didn't go right, and you would have been at the receiving end of the stick from either your manager or your organization, right?
Mm, mm,
Or your team, right?
mm, mm.
There are certain cases where the outcome is not what you desire to be done, right?
Right.
I think I have also, I think I have adopted every uh, excuse in the rule book, right? Blaming
Mm.
somebody else, right? Or emulate an ostrich and put your head on the ground and hope that the situation blows over without you getting targeted, right?
Right. Right.
Or right? Or at times, not at times, but I think one thing which definitely is retrospect after that, right? Introspect and add later on to say what worked, what did not work, right? If given a chance, what would you do differently,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
And why did I not do that differently, right? If given a choice, did I ask for help, right?
Right.
Uh, did I ask for help at the right time, or was it a bit too late, right?
Sure.
What made it difficult for me to identify there was a requirement for asking for somebody's help, right? So was it my ego kicking in, or was it my fear of talking to somebody, or was the person unapproachable? Any of those aspects, right? Which means that is something which has helped me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying at every point of time, introspect at what worked, what did not work, what would I do differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think some of the leadership training programs I got nominated for, and which I was able to go through, right? And one of them was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, right?
Right.
Where he talks about being proactive, sharp. We already spoke about sharpen the saw,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And think win-win. Think, right? Saying, am I really able to identify what's in it for me, what's in it for the individual in front of me, or for the
Mm-hmm.
organization, right? Am I really able to work towards that? Because then maybe the outcome is still not what you desire, but at least you put your best step forward,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And I think the last thing is, like I said, I was fortunate to have managers who encouraged me to take risks. Right? I think if you had that particular at least frame of mind, right, you will
Mm.
really not know until you try it out, right? So you could have 20 reasons for not doing it, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you can't learn swimming unless you jump in the pool.
Jump
So
into
I
the
think
pool. Yeah.
as long as you have the confidence, right, that hey, okay, if this does not work out, I always have some other option, right? Plan A, plan B, plan C, or option A, option B, option C, right?
Yeah.
May not be the most optimal option, but there is an opportunity. And right, unless you're a doctor, right, or
Mm.
maybe a pilot, only two things, right? If you're conducting a surgery on an individual, then
Yeah.
failure is the patient is dead, which is high
Absolutely.
risk. But I think as an engineer, as a manager, or as a
Yeah.
coach,
Right.
you're nowhere close to that level of criticality saying if you fail,
Absolutely.
you never get a second chance.
The
We
sigma
all are
levels are
lucky to
lower.
have to be in a profession
Mm.
much lower.
Much
Right?
lower. Yeah.
So
Mm.
I think that has helped me a lot. Okay?
Right. Right. So
And
we are more of
obviously,
artists.
you still, pardon?
We are more of artists and creators than following a rule book.
Precisely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, makes sense.
So there
Fantastic.
have been times, there have been a lot of times when I've been
Mm,
down, dejected,
mm,
distressed, you
mm,
know. So those things happen. But I think
mm.
end of the day, unless you experiment, you're not going to learn something new. Unless you learn,
Mm,
for me at least, I don't feel happy. So
absolutely. So,
it's
so
a very clear
true.
cycle for me.
Right. So when like what do you feel is the best thing to do when somebody is in a situation feeling vulnerable and is trying to come out of a situation like that, or introspect, kind of think through, avoid those mistakes later. That is fine. Anything beyond that?
Uh, what would help, number one, is don't lose your self confidence.
Sure. Right.
Maybe like Amir Khan keeps used to say in Three Idiots, right? All
Mm.
is well, all
All
is
is
well.
well.
Don't lose, don't lose your self confidence,
Mhm.
right? And there's one very nice saying, I think I used to have this, as a printout in front of my where I used to sit at all points of time. It
Mm,
always used to be, available for me wherever it is, right? But
mm.
I just say, like, don't worry if your tasks are hard and rewards are few, right? End
True.
of the day, remember that a mighty oak was once a nut like you. So each of us,
Yeah, yeah,
given the right opportunity, we would also be that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
I think, like the bamboo example is the classic one, right? So you keep nurturing, watering, doing everything, it shows no results. And eventually, one fine day, it just kind of springs up and is there right in front of you. Fantastic.
exactly.
So, thank you so much, Sriram, for making time and, like sharing all your thoughts and stories, which is going to help so many people. Um, just before going away, we would like you to tell us what's your success mantra, which can inspire our audience and give them a way in life in terms of dealing with their challenges.
Okay. I would just, my request is, be sincere and committed to what you want to do,
Hmm.
right? And like I said, emulate have these three critical factors, right? Your fire in the belly, which is your ambition, have a powerful sense of ambition, right? Have the spring in your step, you know, be confident, be happy, and walk energetically towards what you're going to be doing to achieve that ambitions of yours,
Right,
and have a twinkle in your eye. Right? Enjoy, have that energy, have that emotions, right? But enjoy the journey, right? I think climbing Mount Everest, right? You climb Mount Everest, maybe you're there for 10 seconds, right? But
right.
the journey of climbing is enjoying the journey is all that matters. So be self-confident and enjoy the journey. I think peaks are for you to achieve.
Wow, fantastic. So, fire in the belly, spring in the step, and twinkle in the eye will help you reach any
Yes,
kind of peak that you are looking for. Just be at it. Yeah?
yes, that's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you
Yes,
so much. And looking forward to kind of, hearing more of you from, and we'll keep you posted on that.
yes, for sure, Sonali.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, Sonali, and happy to help any way out in this noble endeavor of yours. So just feel free to reach out and let me know.
Awesome. Awesome.
You can actually instruct me. You don't even have to request. You can instruct me and command me to get it done. Yeah.
That is so kind of you. So kind
Okay.
of you.